Hello, I'm Aaron, and I present our workshop paper on structured pruning of large language models using neural architecture search. This is joint work with Jacek, Golebiowski, Xingchen, Valerio, Perrone, and Cedric Archambeau. Large language models mark the state-of-the-art of natural language understanding, but the deployment, for example, in an embedded system or as an endpoint in web services, can be challenging in practice due to their substantial memory requirements and high latency. In our research, we focused on compressing fine-tuned models by pooling structural components such as heads or layers. We utilized weight-sharing-based neural architecture search, which can be thought of as a structured pruning of the pre-trained network. Compared to other structural pruning techniques, weight-sharing-based NAS offers a multi-objective approach that optimizes both validation error and parameter count. This leads us to a set of Pareto-optimal subnetworks that strike a balance between model size and generalization performance. We concentrate on transformer-based models with either encoder or decoder-only based architectures. These architectures consist of stacked multi-head attention layers and fully connected feed-forward layers. To select subnetworks, represented in color here, we apply binary masks over the pre-trained network. These masks cover each head in a multi-head attention layer and units in a fully connected layer. Importantly, this does not alter the dimensionality of the feature vector. Our weight-sharing-based neural architecture search approach involves two main steps. First, we fine-tune the pre-trained model, which represents the supernetwork in NAS. Instead of updating the full network, we only update random subnetworks in each update step. Following established practice, we apply the so-called sandwich rule, which updates the largest, the smallest, and two random subnetworks in each step. Additionally, we employ an in-place knowledge distillation, which minimizes the Cook-like-Leibler divergence between the supernetwork and the subnetwork. In the second step, we conduct a multi-objective search to minimize both validation error and parameter count. At this point, we do not longer update the model. Each functional validation only requires a pass over the validation data and is therefore computationally cheap. This allows us to employ any off-the-shelf multi-objective method. In our paper, we introduced a straightforward multi-objective local search method that samples random neighbors from the current Pareto front. Our experiments reveal that this simple method performs as well or even better than more complicated evolutionary algorithms. To initiate neural architecture search, we must define a search space encompassing all potential subnetworks. We describe 4 distinct search spaces with varying complexity. The smallest search space employs a single numerical parameter to specify the number of heads for all layers, the units for fully connected layers, and the total number of layers. Although simple, the dimensionality of the search space remains fixed concerning the underlying architecture, and only the upper bound varies. The medium search space, on the other hand, allows us to define a different number of heads and units per layer, which means that the dimensionality of the search space goes linearly with the layer count. For the layer search space, we assign a single binary value to each multi-head attention layer and fully connected layer, which results in the search space dimensionality that is twice the number of layers. Lastly, the large search space employs a single binary for each head and unit, which allows for very precise pruning, but is possibly impractical to explore. For each of the 4 search spaces, we define a function that maps configurations to binary masks for each head and unit in every layer. Shown here are some binary masks for randomly selected configurations from each search space. Note that for the small and the medium search space, we always retain the first heads and units to maintain a bijective mapping between search space and binary mask. In our experiments, we focused on compressing BERT-based models on 4 different text classification datasets. To analyze the diverse search spaces, we randomly sample 100 configurations from each space. For each set of configurations, we estimate the Pareto set and compute the hypervolume. This process is repeated with different seeds for both supernetwork training and multi-objective search. Intriguingly, the small search space leads to superior Pareto points. Despite the large search space encompassing all other search spaces, its excessive expressiveness makes it challenging to explore within a reasonable budget, leading to high variance in terms of hypervolume. The medium search space yields suboptimal performance to the other search spaces, and this definition resides in a narrow distribution over the parameter count, as we show in the paper. In conclusion, our paper highlights the practical application of neural architecture search rather than introducing a new method. We emphasize the significant impact of the search space definition and conduct a thorough ablation study on weight-sharing-based neural architecture search. In the long run, we hope this work represents an intriguing application of neural architecture search and drives the development of future methodologies.